Hello folks, Crazy Camper here once again to do the weekly review of Season 2, Episode 12 of Alone. I am by no means a survival expert, I just love watching the show, I like the camp, so I like to do these videos and get the discussion rolling on it. Please subscribe up here to this channel, and of course my other channel where I go camping a lot and I document in Ontario parks. So, last episode we saw about 3 days worth of the 3 of them that are remaining there. First off, comments. I like Turtle's comment on my first review, and he was ticked off because I spoiled the show for him because of my thumbnails. I put the little X's in the thumbnails, and he saw the head and saw all the X's on the guy, so he knew who got eliminated. So, sorry buddy, I'm going to change that today or tomorrow. You know, you can't please everyone, but that's something that I might have spoiled for a lot of people, so I'll switch it up and I'll especially do it differently for the Season 3 reviews. Talk about Season 3 later on, maybe my next review. But Ron Johnson Outdoors commented that Larry, he was home by Christmas because his YouTube channel, he started posting more stuff right on December 25th. So we know he's not going to Christmas, but that'd be nearing like day 100 almost, and I don't think any of them are going to make it. Maybe David could, but the other two will go, I think, before. So we'll discuss that. John Lord talked about how they still don't really have enclosed shelters, especially David. It's open all over the place. Like that wind and rain in December is going to be brutal. So we don't understand why these guys aren't building stronger shelters. Confusion over regulations. Apparently gill nets aren't really allowed by law, but these guys are doing it. I don't know, maybe someone can clarify that. And there's the Migratory Bird Act, so you can't hunt these birds, and there's a Marine Mammal Act, so you can't hunt any marine animals, so that kind of limits what they can do. Oh yeah, John commented about the producers on the show. He thinks they should be dropped off and see how they do surviving out there. He's upset that they don't show more of actual survival skills shown, rather the reality TV all about their emotions and stuff like that. But I guess they think that sells more. Maybe it does. I don't know, I'm not an expert on that topic. But Jose commented on one of John Lord's posts, and he said, I normally don't get involved with answering comments. There are too many and too many forms. But let me clarify a couple of things. The type of outrigger I decided to put on the kayak, once I realized I needed one, was well thought through. That's all we did out there. Think about the best strategies. We had all the time in the world to do so. A double wood outrigger would have been the obvious choice for someone acquainted with the use of light fishing craft from seeing them in the books and documentaries on TV. And he also noted that what he had there, the materials and the tarp, that was the best thing you could make for that situation because it was lightweight, and dragging something heavy on those rocks and whatnot, you're going to puncture a hole. It's not a sandy beach like you've seen other boats use, he said. And he also said, oh yeah, about the hunting regulations, so he reminded us about that, and the bird migratory, bird and mammals. Long story short, it's quite easy to judge our performance from the safety and comfort of one's sofa at home. If you're vastly disappointed with the show, so that's towards John, I suggest you apply for Season 4. Season 3 is already filming in Patagonia, so if you don't know your geography, that's down in South America. And show us. Please excuse the sarcastic tone of my post. I'm actually chuckling as I write this. My best regards. So I wonder how many of them actually broke regulation off camera. Like if I was starving out there and a few seagulls or Canada geese walking around that I know aren't endangered, then I might be tempted to catch some. I don't know, your mind might do some weird things out there that you might not normally do when you're really that hungry and you're going after $500,000. So break a few laws off camera maybe. I don't know. But looking at the rankings. So it's pretty easy for me to make these this time. Jose number 3, Larry number 2, and David, I think, for a slam dunk win at number 1. So Jose, we see him on day 57. Just like Larry, he's also struggling for food. Says he's lost a lot of weight and he's feeling weak. He said it's the worst shape he's ever been in his entire life. And his wife has been the main provider since he moved to Canada because he doesn't have the right card to work in Canada. So he really wants to win that money so he can help support her for once. But that leads me to another question. Why don't you start a YouTube channel up? Lots of guys are making awesome income. That comes from the money comes from the States actually. From season 1, we got Joe Robinette and Mitch. They both have, well, Joe has like 60,000 subscribers, and Mitch, he has over 100. So those guys, they're bringing in a decent income off the channels alone. And I don't know, maybe you can't really do under table jobs in a minute on TV, but I also see you and Nicole are going to be doing a survival skills training session in the fall. So I'll link some information on that at the bottom too. I saw it on Nicole's Facebook page, which I'll link to the bottom as well. But anyways, day 58, we see Jose talking about kayaking, but worried about the waves. Because that's the thing about David. He can fish with this pole system that he's been working on, and he's utilizing the deeper ponds off the rocks, even when it is wavy out. So he's still out there fishing, catching more food than any of them. Maybe even both of them combined right now, Larry and Jose. And the end of day 58, his gill net's busted up, which is kind of another setback. Day 59, Jose completing a task inside a shelter when it's raining, so that's good. He's keeping busy, and he's actually doing something to help his survival situation when it's raining out in a shelter. And then we see him balancing the weight that he wanted to drop as a floater, and then he drops the weight, and then his whole body goes. He's had shifted his weight over so far. So he tips and capsizes, and out of any contestant in the show, I've never been concerned for someone's life like I did when I saw him go over. That looked scary. I don't know how he got out of the kayak, but that's something you obviously can't practice, rolling out of your kayak and getting out, that you could in a different situation. Because number one, the water's too cold to be practicing that. Two, you're going to damage that delicate tarp, waterproof tarp for the kayak. So he got out somehow. And question 2 is, how deep's the water there? Is the kayak gone? Can he salvage it somehow without it being damaged? Can he get it at low tide maybe? First he has to get himself out of there, and what do you do first? Well, obviously you're going to warm up by your fire, try to dry your clothes off, but that's probably his only set of clothes. I don't know if it's really nice sunny warm days. There's not much warmth left that time of year. But his body's already really weak. So plunging in that 47-degree water, all that energy to try to warm up, dry your clothes, I don't know how much firewood he has ready. I think that's going to be a tap out right there. I bet he calls right away. It's just way too much stress in the body, and his kayak's not going to work anymore. That was one of his main food sources. So I've jumped into that temperature water before, but it was a sunny day and I had warm clothes on right after, but it was a big shock, even though I knew I could get out and dry off, put more clothes on right away. So yeah, moving on to Larry. We see him on day 57. He's talking about how he likes the water dripping against his tarp. I thought that would drive me nuts. I think about Sam, the first episode, or the first season I mean, where his tarp's constantly flapping. That would have drove me nuts. And so apparently the fish go to the ocean floor more when it's cold out because it's warmer down there. And also fish, their metabolism slows down so much in the winter. They're a lot slower to begin with. I've noticed that ice fishing compared to open water fishing when it's warmer out. And he thought about the gill net. Some thought he shouldn't bring it. Well, I don't know. Some people are being successful with it, so I still think it's a good thing to bring. And Larry's also talking about how long people are out there for. He's thinking about the other competitors. I wonder how much these contestants would often think about, oh, someone in a nice log cabin, toasty warm right now, and they're going to stay there the winter, and I'm just hanging on starving, knowing I only have a few weeks left in me. That's got to really work hard on the mind. And Larry decides to stay after a very emotional breakdown. He goes from angry to sad, but I guess when you're out there that long, that must be really hard on your mind. But he thinks this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I want no regrets, so I'm going to stay and stick it out a little longer. So he starts to scavenge for more food, and he talks about putting fishing lines out, so we see how long he stays. And David, number 1. I think David's going to win for sure. He makes his little prison shank. That was pretty funny. Hey, if anyone on the show is going to make a volleyball with a face on it and call it Wilson, I think David would be the one. But that's good that he has that little shank, because now he's not dulling his knife, so he's utilizing more resources. I think Mitch on season 1, he was making charred cloth, so he could make fires a lot easier instead of grinding down his flint, so fire striker, so that's pretty good. David's adapted to the environment out there. He's catching the fish, he's in a good routine, and he said he's even eating well. Like day 58, we see him nailing that big kelp greenling that we see all the time on the commercial, so we see he finally catches that. And physically he says he can keep going longer, but he said when he's fed and he's hungry, he gets emotional because he wants to be home with his family. So maybe when you're hungry, you don't think about your family, you're just thinking about food, so it's kind of like a double-edged sword there. Yeah, you have food, but at the same time, hey, I can do this longer, but I can feel like going home. Day 59, he talked about dreaming about local native kids helping him spearfish. So I remember Spider-Man talking about some crazy dreams he would get out on a 7-day survival expedition. So that'd be interesting to talk to one of you, or comment please if you can about your dreams. So I think David's got a clear chance of winning. The others just don't have the food. And next time on Alone, at the end there, we didn't see any new footage. Like the wolf or husky, I'm wondering about that too. I think it might be a rescue dog from the show. It's running up to one of the competitors, or I don't know, maybe the show's filming it. Either way, they'll be entering December shortly, which is horrible weather the first 2 weeks based on the Weather Underground archives, which I'll link to the bottom. But when this bad weather hits, they're going to be laid up. So I think it'll just be Larry left, and he's going to be hunkered down in a shelter, and he's going to be starving. He's going to be too hungry, so he's going to have to call. David is the only one right now that can afford to lie around like Larry did for a few days without eating. So I think David's going to win. We shall see. Last episode coming up. I can't believe it's already here. But please like, subscribe, comment. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.